Local, live, late-breaking. WESH 2 News starts now.
Now at 11, no impact, but feeling the effects nonetheless. Tropical storm Isaias skirting our coastline tonight, but not expected to make landfall.
But for our communities along the coast, there's still a long night ahead of some gusty winds and the potential for some beach erosion. Now, this system is proving two things. One, the slightest change in a storm's track can make all the difference.
And two, we're only at the start of August with a long way to go before hurricane season is over. Coupled with an ongoing pandemic, this situation has truly been a trial run of what could happen down the road. We have team coverage breaking down the impacts county by county. We begin with Chief Meteorologist Tony Benalfi and the 11 o'clock update from the National Hurricane Center.
So let's get right to that right now. It's moving north-northwest now at about 9 miles an hour. Tropical storm Isaias. You can see the winds there, 70 miles an hour. And that little difference of 20 miles farther to the east from late last night to this afternoon has made a big difference in the overall wind fields, not only along the coast, but back through the interior. And it's also going to make a big difference in the storm surge here across central Florida. 8 a.m. due east to Palm Coast and Marineland. Tropical storm warnings will be up overnight tonight and likely lifted by the time we get to the 11 a.m. advisory tomorrow. Let's take a look at the tropical local impacts here. Rain has been increasing. It's not long-lived. It comes and goes in waves, and winds pick up with these squalls, gusty winds along the coast. Again, some minor storm surge, more concerned with the beach erosion at times of high tide around 8 a.m. in the morning, and then conditions improving during the afternoon. Now, we had a couple of clusters of showers and squalls here earlier. Things are kind of tapering on down right now, except along the immediate coastline. Still a few showers, but the core of the strongest winds clearly a good distance away from the coast that for us, we're going to look out. Look at that, 60 to 70 mile an hour winds just offshore. We're in that 30 to 45 mile an hour range here over towards the Cape. So we take a look now at the peak winds thus far this afternoon. We're in that 40 to 50 mile an hour range throughout Brevard County. There's the system. It's going to lift northeastward here as we get you into the day tomorrow. And then as we take a look at the wind gusts throughout the afternoon, basically running 25 to about 40 miles an hour, an occasional gust higher as we've worked our way over to Brevard County. But there now, the winds are starting to come down a little bit in comparison to late this afternoon as the storm is making its trek farther upstream to the north there. And we'll get some wraparound bands throughout the course of the afternoon tomorrow, but overall, the worst of the weather by far and away will be lifting north and east. Let's take a look now at these coastal concerns. A medium impact there, tropical downpours, severe winds, tornadoes, low threat there. We are not concerned with that, with the tracks now being offshore by about 40 to 50 miles. So the impacts here along the coast between now and 10 a.m. Winds in that 25, 35 mile an hour range, gusts in the 35 to 45 mile an hour range, and we've toned down the rainfall totals as well. Could get a quick 1 to 2 inches of rain. We'll take a look farther inland coming up here at 11:18, and an all-important 7-day forecast. The heat is coming back, folks.
Tony, thanks. As Tropical Storm Isaias moves northward, Volusia County is feeling the effects and will likely continue to do so throughout the night. Let's begin our live team coverage with WESH 2's Chris Guardaro in New Smyrna Beach. And Chris, what are conditions like now?
Well, Jim, the winds have been progressively stronger every hour until about an hour ago, and they've stayed pretty steady, which is pretty strong still. I want to show you just this sign here, just kind of wiggling a little bit in the wind. We haven't seen any substantial rainfall in this area of New Smyrna Beach for several hours, but take a walk with me. Let's see if we can see the coast here. There might be some of the waves that we're able to see if we zoom in a little bit closer. There's about 7 or 8 layers of the waves, which have been more and more choppy as time has gone by. Now, earlier tonight, some kite surfers ignored dangerous surf warnings and took flight in the tropical storm's winds. The red flag was flown overhead for most of Sunday, but hundreds of people chose to spend the day on the beach because of relatively clear conditions. Now, over time, the wind speed did pick up and the tide started rising. New Smyrna Beach may only see a few feet of storm surge here, but not enough to do any serious flooding damage. Now, some of the businesses here have decided to stay open right along the coast and not board up at all. We asked them about their decision. They said the threat of a tropical storm off of the shore did not scare them enough to close their businesses. We're here live in New Smyrna Beach. Chris Guardaro, WESH 2 News.
The southernmost parts of our area obviously felt the effects first, and in parts of Brevard County, crowds of people turned out to watch the storm come and go. Lush's Dan Billows in Melbourne Beach. So Dan, what have been the biggest effects there?
Biggest effects here are some beach erosion and some disruption of sea turtle nests. So nothing too bad. You can look right here at an idea of what the beach erosion looks like. This is a renourished beach. Dump trucks and bulldozers built up the sand. A lot of it has been taken away by the tropical storm. But for the people around here, the worst is over.
It's very beautiful. It's a blessing to see everything the way that it is and seeing everybody come together and watch it as one.
It was sort of a party atmosphere at the Indy Atlantic Boardwalk, and why not feel like celebrating? Isaias turned out to be a pussycat.
I'm absolutely excited it didn't come, but I'm a little distraught because I over-prepared.
But the rough waves and a bit of a storm surge made things a little ugly for a while.
We've been through Irma, Dorian, and Matthew, but we usually evacuated for those. So this is the first storm we're actually here for. So, what do you think of it? It's not bad yet, but I think they were saying like 4:30. Right about now, you see the wind kicking in. I think is where we're going to see the brunt of it.
The waves carved away some of the sand, placed in a multi-million-dollar effort to protect roads and buildings. The sand did its job. But the next storm could get even closer to foundations and public works. And in a heartbreaking scene repeated many times, sea turtle nests were washed up and baby turtles were swept into the churning surf. But it wasn't long before the storm passed by and the wind began to change. This is the good way to have a tropical storm, isn't it?
Oh, yes. Yeah, it's very good. When you can come out and watch what's happening and see what's going on, it's a very good way.
A lot of relief around here, and the next high tide tomorrow should look better with wind coming out of the west and pushing out to sea rather than coming in. We're live on Melbourne Beach. Dan Billow, WESH 2 News.
And from where the storm's been to where it is heading next, parts of Flagler County have been especially cautious of this tropical storm's ever-evolving track. WESH's Greg Fox is live in Flagler Beach. And Greg, what's been the primary concern there for folks?
Well, one of the big concerns is for people who are on this skinny strip of land along A1A with the ocean on one side, the intercoastal on the other, is that they're always worried about surge, and of course they're worried about wind. Wind is kind of building here, not really very strong right now. We've only had one episode of rain that lasted about 25 minutes tonight. Others are confident nearly 4 years of reconstructing A1A and shoring up the beaches will be a big help during big storms. As the storm approaches the Flagler coast, there's something new waiting, a fully reconstructed A1A that reopened this year. The road was ripped apart by Hurricane Matthew in 2016, leaving gaping holes. To prevent destruction like this in the future, a new drain that runs down the median is sending stormwater runoff into the aquifer instead of eroding the beaches. Adele Foy and Robert Preer live right across the street. They're concerned the rock wall barrier just won't hold up in the rough surf generated by hurricanes.
We're still worried about the, protection for our home, but the road is great. We're happy with the work they did.
A beach renourishment program is also gradually shoring up the dunes to prevent erosion during big storms. Earlier, when the storm's path and intensity were still a question, residents at RV and mobile home parks like Surfside Estates near the shore secured items in their yards, closed hurricane shutters, and one even boarded up. Holly Beatty says her home has flooded in previous storms, so she was packed up and ready to go.
Of course, it's still a lot of stress bringing everything in, tying everything down, and not knowing if you have to evacuate and stuff. So, it's the price you pay to live in paradise right here.
Therese Morgan and her family live right across from Smith Creek and has seen water flooding neighboring homes in previous storms.
It's a good thing if we dodge it. I'm okay with that. But yeah, I do worry about the surge.
But clearly, as night fell, most were worried less about the storm posing a threat than they were about getting pictures of a remarkable pre-storm sunset. And we are live once again here just across the pier here in Flagler Beach. So far, as we mentioned a moment ago, it's been more of a wind event. Very little rain here earlier tonight, although that could pick up again here shortly. Earlier today, a decision was made not to open up a shelter and not to order any evacuations in Flagler County. Live in Flagler Beach, Greg Fox, West 2 News.
Our West 2 team is committed to bringing you the most up-to-date forecast information. You can see interactive maps for the storm and any others that may come after it on the West 2 News app. Our First Alert weather team is also pushing out alerts to your phone whenever there's a major change in the forecast. Isaias may have fouled up the splashdown of 2 NASA astronauts near the Space Coast, but it didn't stop it from happening altogether. SpaceX safely returned NASA astronauts Bob Behnken and Doug Hurley to Earth this afternoon. The Crew Dragon spacecraft splashed down in the Gulf of Mexico near Pensacola instead of Cape Canaveral because of the weather. In May, Behnken and Hurley took off from Kennedy Space Center. Today's splashdown marks the completion of the first astronaut mission for SpaceX and the first time astronauts have launched from the U.S. and returned in nearly a decade. Hurley and Behnken told a small crowd today the importance of that is not lost on them.
There's something special about having that capability to launch and bring your own astronauts home. And we went through a lot of years without that capability. And I think we're both super proud to have been just a small part of the team that accomplished bringing those space flights back to the Florida coast.
Nest at the bottom of your screen.
The astronauts also say they are thankful for all of the crew members who worked on this mission for years to make it possible. Next on West 2, we're continuing to track Isaias as it moves up the coast.
How cities along the eastern seaboard are preparing for any impacts that the storm may bring. People in one tourist hotspot share their concerns.
Right now, Isaias is right off the central Florida coast, but further north, especially up along the eastern seaboard, people are preparing for what the storm may bring them.
Today at Tybee Island in Georgia, people were enjoying a day at the beach, but the rough surf was just a preview of what's to come. And in Virginia Beach, people there were stocking up on supplies, including groceries and gasoline.
In South Carolina, the ongoing coronavirus pandemic, coupled with the threat of tropical weather, has the normally bustling tourist spot of Myrtle Beach rather deserted.
Donovan Harris spoke to people getting out of town and out of tropical storm Isaias' path.
We're glad that we're leaving as soon as possible.
A busy afternoon in the departures area at the Myrtle Beach International Airport before Isaias sweeps through. And some tourists are glad to be flying out as the storm's high winds and rains roll in.
We feel more comfortable back in Ohio. It's nothing to mess around with. Storms are dangerous.
This storm, nothing new for one Myrtle Beach resident in the Market Common.
We had a lot of storms come ashore down to Lauderdale. I was down there for a number of years, and flooding is the problem.
Isaias is interesting to others new to the area.
I'm interested to see the effect of nature at its worst, sort of.
Using this storm as a test run before hurricane season's peak.
These are my training wheels, so I'll get an early glimpse at the start of a storm.
But what are business owners thinking as Isaias heads this way?
It'll definitely impact it. Anytime there's a hurricane or a tropical storm, of course, there's a lot of rain and wind.
But there's a sense of resilience.
Between COVID and this, I think we'll bounce right back. This tropical storm isn't as serious as a hurricane, so we feel we'll be okay.
And some good advice.
Just stay home. If you don't have to go out, don't do it until the storm has passed.
Here back in Central Florida, strong winds and big waves out at the coast as Isaias keeps churning just offshore.
Chief Meteorologist Tony Manalfi is watching the track and has more on where it will be in the coming hours.
I'll tell you what, guys, as we take a look now at the 11 o'clock advisory, really no significant change. The winds have held steady here at 70 miles an hour. Pressure is at 995 millibars, and the winds are, the movement, I should say, is north-northwest here at about 9 miles an hour. We are anticipating this to accelerate more quickly late tonight towards daybreak and throughout the course of the day tomorrow. By 8 a.m., the position of our storm will be due east of Palm Coast and Marineland, and then we'll accelerate northeastward here as we go through the afternoon. So the weather conditions will be improving. So we've got the rain in bands and squalls. Winds pick up when those come on through. The big thing overnight, though, is going to be the gusty winds along the coast with some minor storm surge and some coastal beach erosion. That's what we're going to be watching there very carefully. Monday, conditions improving from south to north as we go throughout the course of the afternoon. Now, because the core itself isn't super well organized, we're not getting what we would typically see, larger banding breaking away from the center. But from time to time, we do get a couple of showers here, as you can see here through Brevard County, and more will develop later on tonight as the storm system continues to move north. That is not the center of circulation. It's actually down here. I've been getting a lot of questions about that, but you can see the storms are stronger to the northern side. And look at the winds here in that 60 to 75 mile an hour range. That's only about 30 to 40 miles east of the coast. So thankfully, with that position here, the last couple model runs being a little bit farther to the east, we've been able to change the forecast for the winds and the rainfall amounts, pushing everything more offshore, and again, just kind of giving us a glancing blow, so to speak. They're the core of the strongest winds right there. The true tropical storm force, near hurricane force gusts offshore, while back towards the coast here, we've had gusts in the 20 to 40 mile an hour range pretty much a good chunk of the afternoon. Heaviest rains now, as you can see, we've tweaked that offshore, 1 to 2 inches potentially. You get one good band and a tropical downpour, you can get a quick 1 to 2 inches, but farther to the west, again, very little rain. We take a look now at this evening. Strongest winds here begin to pull northward overnight tonight. We've got, again, close to tropical storm force wind gusts as we get through 8, 9, 10 o'clock in the morning, and then as low pressure continues to pull away, again the winds will subside. But look at the wave action. Now remember, what comes in must go out. So there's the surge taking place down in Volusia and on into Flagler County. Major wave heights offshore, 15 to 20 foot waves. Near shore waves here about 7 to about 10 feet. So again, storm surge tonight, Volusia, Flagler County, probably closer to 2 feet, just because the storm was a little bit farther to the east there. We're going to get a bit of a break, but we'll have to watch that. The next high tide, by the way, Flagler Beach, Daytona Beach, and Cocoa Beach, running from about 10 after 8 through about 8:40. That would be the next concern for some coastal beach erosion. Let's take a look now at the forecast time frame here along I-4 through Seminole, Orange, and Lake counties. Winds 15 to 25, some gusts there, 25 to 35. Rainfall less than an inch of rain. Then you work your way here into Marion, Sumter, and Lake counties. Winds 10 to 20. If you get one of those squalls to come on through, you may get to 20 to 30 miles an hour. But just like I-4, rainfall amounts here significantly drop off. So in the morning, Flagler, Volusia County, we've got those yellow impacts. Just keep a firm grip on that steering wheel throughout the course of the afternoon. We'll get a few scattered showers and storms. It's going to be hot to the south with more clouds and more squalls to the north. Temperatures will be a few degrees cooler. And then, as we take a look now at the extended 7-day forecast, back to normal now as we get you to Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Afternoon highs in the low 90s. Rain chances running at 50 to 70%. Watch 2 News at 11 continues in just a minute.
Now, West 2 Sports, sponsored by Mullinax Ford.
The Magic looking to go 2-0 in the NBA restart. I'm Kendra Douglas. Orlando squaring off with the Sacramento Kings, now closing seconds of the first quarter. Check this out. Markelle Fultz from 3/4 court, and he nails it. Magic just in control of this game from start to finish. To the third quarter we go. Orlando up by 26, dished from DJ Augustine behind his head to Nikola Vucevic, who hands the three right here. Easy buckets. Vuce finished with 23. Now we had a scary moment in the fourth. Jonathan Isaac drives in, and you can see he tweaks his left knee and goes down. The Magic will win this game 132 to 116. Head coach Steve Clifford says Isaac is getting an MRI.
I'm hopeful. I mean, you know, it didn't look great. It looked bad, obviously, but I mean, you know, until you hear anything, I'm just hopeful. That's all.
It's tough, man. That one brought me to tears, and instantly. Just because I know how good of a guy J.I. is, and I know how hard he works, and how hard he has worked to get back since hurting himself in D.C. So that was tough.
All
All right, life inside the NBA bubble is a unique experience. And I spoke with one Magic staff member who is taking the needed steps to keep things running smoothly and safely inside for the Magic.
When the lights go off on the court, there is still a lot of work left to be done.
This is, the longest road trip anybody would ever do.
Bring in 3-year equipment manager Jacob Diamond. On a typical travel day before the bubble, Diamond loads about 30 bags for the Magic. But with this tournament and no end in sight, try adding 20 more bags spread across his room.
I have everything under the sun in here, as far as shoes, practice gear, uniforms, t-shirts, compression, socks, shorts.
And all that stuff has to be cleaned. The NBA finding a solution by converting the Atlanta Braves batting cage into a washing facility exclusively for equipment managers.
In there are 66 washers and 66 dryers. They're not your industrial size washers and dryers that we normally use at home. However, it's a big enough quantity to house or to support 22 teams.
From fishing to golfing, the NBA leaving no stone unturned, even creating a cornhole charity event.
For the Magic, it was Mo Bamba and myself, and we had a cornhole match against Chris Paul and Darius Baisley. I'm going to tell these stories to my kids one day.
A historic journey that Diamond is proud to be a part of as the NBA begins its season.
We're all here living this same experience, whether you're a star player or a trainer or an equipment manager. We're kind of all in this together.
All right, well, stay with us. More to come after the break.